heck is that place? I know it's around here somewhere. Oh, here it is.
Hello, is anybody here? Hello?
Well, hello there, young man. Is there anything that I can help you with today?
Yeah, I really hope you can. You see, I've been struggling to find my boss the perfect Christmas gift. He really is a guy who has everything. The bizarre part of my visit today is really how I found out about your shop. I had a layover last night at O'Hare and I went down to the Rock Bottom for a few drinks. I sat down next to this guy and we started to chat. He told me about his years in the fastener business and how he'd seen the good times and the bad. His presence felt almost like a mysterious guru kind of guy. Everything he told me about life just struck a chord. It was like he knew me, inside and out. I told him that I was looking for a gift for my boss, and he scratched his head for a moment, finished his old rusty bolt, and told me to come here. At that, he wished me good luck in my search and started to leave. I said, "Hey, mister, thanks for the conversation and the good advice. What's your name anyway?" He said, "People just call me the traveling salesman." He tipped his hat, stepped out into the whirling snow, and disappeared. So here I am. Pretty strange, huh?
The truth of the matter is, it actually doesn't sound odd at all, and I'm sure at some point you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But let's forget about that for now. Why don't you come over here and see what we have? A 1947 RCA. It's in immaculate shape. It's really quite a wonder of technology for its day.
I don't mean to cut you off, but my boss has a lot of antique radios, and I've seen a lot that look just like this one. Is there anything here that's really unique?
Well, I actually have a brand new Bose wave radio system over here that you put your iPod right in the
Again,
top.
sir, I really don't want to waste your time, you know. He has one of these. He has everything. If you don't have something truly unique, I'm afraid I'm just going to have to move on.
Truly unique, you say? Well, I do have one thing. Follow me. Vladimir, could you watch the shop for me while I take this gentleman upstairs?
Vladimir will watch shop with eyes like eagle and rule employees with iron fist until you return.
Thank you, Vladimir. I appreciate your help. Do be careful on the stairs.
This may sound a little odd, but where exactly are you taking me?
You said you wanted something unique, right? Well, here it is.
What, that rusty old box? Is that what you're going to show me? A rusty old box?
Well, I guess you're not really interested then in opening up the lid.
Oh, no. I came this far. I mean, it can't hurt to look, right?
What is it? It's the most beautiful thing my eyes have ever seen. This is what you seek. This is what you have been after. This is where your heart has been drawn to. It speaks of the future. It speaks of the past with such loving tones that soothe the savage beast. This is fully threaded radio.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
Well, if that didn't put you in a downright Christmassy mood, you might have some Grinch blood flowing through your veins, folks. This is Fully Threaded Radio. voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. Yes, it's online, predominantly fastener-related talk radio at its holiday finest. Eric Dudas here, and joining me, as always, it's the head online fastener elf, Mr. Brian Musker. Doing all right, Brian?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm not so sure if I'm so much an elf as someone who's going back up in the attic to look for all the gold.
Well, you sure do make magic happen with online fasteners, that's for sure. People only knew. We opened the show today with a great piece put together by our buddy from JHP Fasteners, Mr. J.R. Prahl. We first played that back on episode 36, and it was, as I was getting that out, Brian, it was kind of like reaching into the box of ornaments, and seeing an old favorite come out.
This is true, yeah.
Oh, man, that was really a lot of fun. So did you get the Christmas lights up already? I think last episode you were threatening to do that. Oh,
I did. I actually had decided I'd take advantage of one fine day, and given the snow now, thank God I did.
That's right. And the unbelievably unglobal warming-like temperatures we're having in the Chicago area.
Right. Yeah, this is a trial for anyone, particularly someone who hates the cold like me.
Well, we'll make the best of it. And I think this episode is going to help you along the way on that one, Bri. This is episode 74 of Fully Threaded Radio, and we're publishing on December 12th, 2013. We'll kick off today's episode with a guy who must be one of the jolliest people in the industry, and that's Dan Zehnder of Trinity Hardware Headquarters. He and his team keep building, and Dan will fill us in on all the latest that's happening during this segment. Our second feature on today's show is a conversation with Brighton Best International Director of Purchasing, Jun Xu. We put all the obvious questions to John, and he does a great job of addressing them, I think, from the BBI perspective. He's also got news of a new training series that's getting underway as we publish this, Bri, and people I think will be interested to hear about that. On today's Fastener News Report, Mike McNulty and BB&T analyst Holden Lewis discuss the November FDI numbers. It's a mixed bag out there, folks, but the latest numbers appear to have some reasons to be optimistic. Also, the ever-fearless and focused Mike McNulty reviews his predictions from last year's end-of-the-year show, and he proffers 10 new predictions for 2014. Hey, we've wrapped it all up into one festive package, folks. And we're sure glad you clicked in with us.
The title sponsor of Fully Threaded Radio is Steelfast. For service you deserve and people you trust, it's Steelfast. And Trinity Hardware Headquarters, for parts done right. Also, we have Buckeye Fasteners, Fastenal, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. As always, I'd like to thank our sponsors, and we're very glad that you decide to sponsor us and that we can be connected to you.
You got that right. It's a growing, fully threaded family of sponsors and listeners and occasional fastener dogs over here.
Yeah, the fastener dogs are quiet at the moment, but that was not the case when the school bus got out.
Well, I'll have to work some more of my editing magic if he comes back in. But I'm up to the task. And folks, if you're up to the task, you can get with us anytime, and you can do so at the email address ftr@fullythreaded.com. We're also out there on Twitter under the handle Fully Threaded. Hey, once again, everybody, thanks for listening. And when we return from this brief but lucrative break, we'll reach under the tree and start unwrapping this one, folks.
I can't wait.
It's Fully Threaded
Radio. Looking for package fasteners of all kinds? How about specials or unique parts that no one seems to carry? At Trinity Hardware Headquarters, we believe in parts done right, and our new catalogue is available online at trinityhardwarehq.com, featuring over 30,000 different types of fasteners available in package quantities, product kits, and assortments, including hundreds of hard-to-find parts as well as the most popular inch and metric sizes. Trinity Hardware Headquarters has locations throughout the Midwest and South, and over 400,000 square feet of warehouse space with 18 million pounds of fasteners ready to fill your requirements. Our featured products include number 3 and number 7 head plough bolts, grade 5 and grade 8 carriage bolts, hook bolts, tap bolts, and nuts and washers of all kinds, plus much more. Visit our website at www.trinityhardwarehq.com or give Trinity Hardware Headquarters a call at 888-232-1010. Trinity Hardware Headquarters, the parts done right.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stellfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
Since 1905, Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been supplying the world with high-quality fasteners. Our standard product lines include weld fasteners, braided weld screws, leg levelers, self-clinching hardware, clevis pins, rivet nuts, and various other fastener lines, allowing us to support virtually all types of industries. We have complete custom manufacturing capabilities in low carbon, medium carbon, and stainless steel materials, and our quality systems are registered to ISO standards. Our on-staff engineering department can assist you with product development and provide total technical support. Our knowledgeable sales team members offer superior customer service and are here to answer any questions you may have regarding our products. Having a hard time finding a part? Let our sourcing specialists do the work for you to locate those items. We offer competitive pricing with typically smaller minimums and shorter lead times. To find out more about Buckeye Fasteners, please call us at 800-437-1689 or on the web at buckeyefasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, more than just weld.
In this economy, I need to cut cost and freight, or I'll lose my customer.
Solution Man, Ken. The more you order, the more you'll save. With free freight on orders over $1,000. See the Solution Industries website for details at solutionIND.com.
Solution Man, you're my fastener hero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
Hey folks, this is Janet Chiopita from Great Lakes Fasteners and CMI Industry, and you're listening to the best elves in radio, Fully Threaded Radio with Brian and Eric.
You know, Bri, with our holiday publishing schedule, it seems like we haven't put out a show together forever, and we've been pretty busy since the last episode.
Yeah, running around avoiding sleighs and things, actually.
Well, fortunately, we're pretty good at that. We're also pretty good at running an online fastener sourcing network because we're the guys who bring you the FCH sourcing network. That's at the website www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. We keep repeating this message, Brian. I guess we're just going to have to keep repeating it because, as we mentioned last time after the Vegas show, we were kind of shocked to find out how many people still don't associate all our different entities. But, yeah, we're those guys. And, geez, if you get out there to fastenersclearinghouse.com, you'll see over 1 million listings, and that's from distributors all across North America. You can get out there, use it when you need to do a fill-in. If you're looking for a hard-to-find part, be glad to have you out there. There's no charge to use it. On the other side of that coin, if we can help you make some sales, we'd be thrilled to talk to you on that too. So get out there at fastenersclearinghouse.com. Again, Bri, you're the head elf out there.
Right.
You've been working your magic lately.
I have. I'm still not finished yet, but I'm closer, okay? And people tell me the site's running a bit faster now. We've made a few changes, so it's there's another set to come yet, okay? But I just decided to time them so we don't have a whole lot of stuff happening all at once. I mean, ultimately we have to balance keeping the site going with fiddling around and tweaking it.
Well, once again, it seems to be running like a top now, and we won't get into too much geek speak about how the database is in memory or any of the other great stuff, but nothing like some solid-state drives and a whole bunch of RAM.
This is true. This is where we're sitting at the moment.
So we said that we've been pretty busy since the last episode, and man, we have covered a lot of ground, made a lot of distributor visits, and it's all the way back now on November 21st, but we had a great time at the North Coast Fastener Association meeting. They put on a shindig out there in the Cleveland area along with the Fastener Training Institute, and talk about a huge success.
Right, it was, and there were a lot of people turned up for that. It would have put some of our shows in Chicago to shame, actually. But it was great, and everyone had a lot of fun, and I'd particularly like to thank Marty for looking after us, and Jackie Ventura for being a great host and a driver for us, and taking us to places that we probably wouldn't have gotten to see otherwise.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Well, especially since our navigation system couldn't actually get us onto I-80 on the way over there. We had a few problems at stages.
Yeah, we're GPS challenged. I don't know what it is, Bri, but fortunately we have a good support team around us. And I agree, Marty Nolan, he is the president of the NCFA. He did a fantastic job emceeing the evening. And actually, it was his brainchild. I believe the head count was about 160.
Yeah.
And, of course, Carmen and Salim from the Fastener Training Institute did an incredible job. And when you consider that they had been teaching for 7, 8, 9 hours a day for the whole week, and then they got up and they put on like a 2.5-hour presentation, and they were discussing the whole Bay Bridge hydrogen embrittlement issue and the level of detail. And I think just the level of understanding they brought to the room, it was definitely something you'd want to be part of if you could.
Right. It was a great presentation and fascinating for me. This is going back to part of my engineering school days in New Zealand, actually.
Now, when you were back there in school, did you guys talk a lot about the macro Rockwell C hardness profile?
We had to deal with it, yes. That is true.
You love hydrogen embrittlement, don't you?
I don't think we dealt with it. We probably had, someone probably discussed it with us, but I don't particularly remember hydrogen embrittlement, actually. But the fractures, brittle fractures, I particularly remember. I think, oh, God, I remember those pictures. And we had a really good time at that, and also with the people, the very hospitable Cleveland people, okay?
Yeah, great bunch. The day after the NCFA event, we then went out to Youngstown, Ohio, and we visited the 3D printing think tank known as NAMI. And wait, they've changed their name now. What is it?
America Makes.
Right. I don't know if I necessarily like that name or not, but the hardware that we saw out there and the examples, just mind-blowing. And what a facility. I mean, it appears to be state-of-the-art, and they've got some very dedicated people working there.
Right, and just in case you don't think even yet that this is where things are going, they pointed out that Boeing is currently printing out of titanium struts for the F-35 jet fighter. And they showed us, actually, a printer. It wasn't actually printing when we were there, a printer that can print titanium. And they had just, bottles of either titanium powder if you wanted to print titanium, or 316 stainless if you wanted to print things out of that.
Yeah, what was that, like a $500,000 machine?
Yeah. And things are advancing so quickly that the problem with these machines at the moment they get one, there's another better one just being released. And most of these, the big fancy machines, are produced or for the ones we saw, are produced in Britain, actually.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand why that is. I mean, why aren't they building these things in the U.S.? Did you grasp that?
Didn't grasp. I didn't understand that. Something we must have missed.
Well, we're going to be keeping our eye on that. That's for sure. And I'd like to thank Chris Young from Hudson Fasteners. Their office is actually co-located in the same building as America Makes, NAMI. And wouldn't be surprised to hear some kind of, news, let's say, but we'll have to just see what comes down the pike on that. But thanks again, Chris, for setting that up. It was a fantastic morning that we spent out there. And folks, if you're interested in getting the traveling salesman's version of that day. He blogged about it out on fastenerblog.net.
Yeah, thanks for Traveling Salesman for taking us down there too.
First class all the way, man.
Yep.
Hey, speaking of first class, have you made it out onto the website, healthcare.gov yet, Brian?
First class? Well, that's setting the standards. They're very low, okay? Yeah, I did have a look, okay?
Well, the whole country has been made bluntly aware of the rollout on that, and fortunately, we've got a guy like you who's taking care of our website, so believe me, I count my blessings every day about that. But I went out and, just out of curiosity, fortunately, I haven't got the letter yet, and I frankly couldn't tell you if it was working or not, so I don't know. But they assure us that they're doing wonderful, amazing things with that site.
And to be slightly fair, despite the fact that it shows it's been terribly badly managed, it's what they're trying to do is extremely complicated behind the scenes, which is the real problem. They're trying to get information out of a whole lot of completely unconnected government sites or government databases, which is the trouble. Ours is much simpler in that respect, thank heavens.
Yeah, well, I remember reading an old PC World one time when this guy was describing putting a Windows GUI on top of DOS, and he likened it to putting béarnaise sauce on a hot dog.
Yeah, why would anyone want to use Windows? Right.
Well, the point being, you're only going to be able to do so much when you've got a framework that isn't ever going to work. So, what do we know? Just keep watching the mainstream, and they're doing incredible things with that website, Bri. Well, Bri, there's another guy who's doing amazing things with his website, and that, of course, is our great sponsor, Dan Zehnder of Trinity Hardware Headquarters. Hey, Dan, thanks for joining us.
Oh, glad to be here, gentlemen.
Great sponsor and friend, Eric should have said.
True.
Well, glad to be a part of the show and a part of FDI, a quality product.
It is.
Much appreciated. Well, I understand that you guys are doing great things with your website, and you've really built out the catalog lately. I think a lot of people are talking about that, and people who are just beginning to understand what Trinity Hardware Headquarters is all about are pretty impressed on first glance. What can you tell us?
Yeah, well, thanks for noticing. We've, in this year, did put a lot of time and money and energy into developing the new website, the online store. We now take credit cards and processing orders on a regular basis via credit cards and online. But beyond that, we wanted to expand and create an experience that was much faster, simpler, and very basic and to the point, without a lot of fluff and things like that many websites have. So we're very excited about it. We've added this year about 1,900 items. Next year it's going to be about another 4,500 to 6,000 items. So yeah, it's going to expand pretty dramatically here very, very quickly. It's been a big project, but it's coming along very nicely. And, it's like anything. You have to take your time and walk before you can run. And so we're still doing some of that. But I'm pleased with what the team is doing. And they've asked me to stay out of the way, which is what I prefer anyway. So.
Hey, I get asked that. I'm told that all the time, actually.
Yeah, well, we all know about the walking before we can run idea because of the healthcare.gov, and I'm sure you're dialed right into that one, Dan.
Yes, we are, and we are adding a tab on our website, being able to actually sell health insurance before the government gets it out there, and maybe for less money.
Now, did it cost less than $600 million? And I'll know if you got a deal or not.
Just slightly less.
Okay, that's a good deal then.
So what is the catalog up to now? I know you keep building it up, and I can't keep track of it. How many lines are you offering over there at Trinity these days?
Well, in the catalog or in the marketplace published activity is about 11,000. We've got about 56,000 line items in our system today. And so as we're rounding out those product lines and doing all the market analysis and frankly trying to put some intelligence behind what we're doing before we actually do it and put it out there.
Why would you want to do that?
Well, it's going to start growing a little more rapidly later next year. But this time next year, we should have added another 4,500 items.
Wow.
Oh, goodness. So your plan is to become a pretty major distributor in the Midwest then?
Well, we'd like to. We're looking at, again, as I said, adding the items, listening to what our customers are saying, what they're looking for, what they'd like to see, what makes sense. We've got a team of customer counsel, as I call them, that we sit down with and we review some ideas that they have, what works, what doesn't work, and then we take their ideas and then we do some testing. And frankly, just to take ideas or wish list and poke holes in it and see if it still floats. Wow. And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. And if it doesn't, then we learn something in the process. So I think simplifying what we do and the way that we deliver product to the marketplace, it helps keep costs down and makes us more efficient, which we pass those savings on to the customer. Our goal is to be the leader in creating the best value for the products that we offer. And yes, price is a major part of that component, but so is source selection, as well as quality and availability and so forth. So you're going to see a lot of new, exciting things coming out over the next 3 years for what we do. Our team has done a great job in laying out long-range marketing plan.
Brian and I had a great opportunity to meet up with your team just a couple weeks back out at your facility in Iowa, and they are very competent people, and I have no doubt that you're going to achieve that goal. Let me ask you this. Obviously, the big news in the industry these days is the further consolidation of the master importers, and how is that affecting Trinity? I mean, is that figure into your game plan?
What are you talking about? I haven't heard anything about that.
You didn't make it out to Vegas this year, did you, Dan?
No, I missed that. Is something going on? I've really got to start attending staff meetings.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
No, it's an interesting time to be in this industry, to see the consolidation at different levels accelerating. I was in Utah not that long ago, talking to a small company out there, and he told me that he and his son have decided that they're just going to pack it up here by the end of the year and, frankly, just go out of business. And I found that very interesting because they've had a successful business for almost 30 years. And, why not sell it? Why not make some changes? No, just decided to be done with it. And I've seen that in a couple of different places. So I think the marketplace is going to continue to evolve. It's the evolution of business. I think it's the evolution of our industry. Many items that 20 years ago were specials are today standards. And so what does that mean? Things are going to just continue to evolve.
Just out of curiosity, this company in Utah, what is their business? I mean, help me understand what you're describing.
Their product line is predominantly supporting anything that builds or is used on road construction, major highways, guardrails, guardrail products,
yep.
The fasteners that go into that predominantly, the chain, the links, highway signage, galvanized product, some structural product, some stainless materials, and I'm talking in fasteners, of course, but geared towards supporting municipalities and the state highway project contractors.
Oh, the sort of things that the scrubber has a little trouble with, all these weird things that I've come to understand is not, like a guardrail bolt is not quite, looks like a bit like a plow bolt or something, but it isn't.
No, it's not. And what's interesting, and I've learned this as well, that they vary from state to state, too. So not every state has the exact same head style or configuration, and that they're going to vary a little bit, and depending on who designed what where. But
yeah,
very interesting, and I found it interesting that they, having created this niche in that state and that part of the country, have now said, we're just going to be done.
Wow. I'll just sit and think on that one. That doesn't sound good.
No.
I think it probably had something to do with the healthcare and the website that they couldn't get on, and so. No, I'm kidding.
It was too uncertain. They didn't know how they were going to be looked after next year. It's the same as all of us. Yeah, I know. I worry about that every single night.
So, Dan, we're catching you on your way back from a trip to overseas. What did you hear? What did you learn while you were over there?
Very interesting. It was my second trip this year. The manufacturers over there have a lot of different things going on. Many are very concerned about the economy in the U.S., certainly what we see in the news and the healthcare and how that's all going to play out, the politics and so forth. But there's some concern about the consolidation in our industry as well. What does that mean for them, and how are they going to find markets for their product? There's a lot of capacity over there, a lot of availability, but for manufacturing. But the steel availability seems to be very consistent. So the steel mills seem to be doing a good job of keeping the pipeline fed, but not overproducing to drive the cost down to some very volatile levels or activity like we've seen in the past. So it's kind of a mixed bag. And now as we get into this time of the year too, everybody starts looking forward to, well, what do you think 2014 is going to look like? What are the plans there? So
what do you think 2014 is going to look like?
Well, I think for us, what I'm seeing in the industries that we serve, for the most part, agriculture is still going to stay pretty strong. Crop prices are still at a good price that farmers can make money and are spending a lot of money on equipment, and that's good for our business. Uh-huh. Our focus is touching product that winds up in the dirt, construction, farm implement, mining, road building, that type of thing. For the most part, some of those are pretty good. Construction, however, is way down. That demand is very, very soft, and I'm talking broadly now. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully that's going to turn around and pick up, but I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Let me ask you this, Dan. I know that Trinity Hardware Headquarters is pretty strongly focused on agriculture. Does the sluggishness in construction really bother you that much?
Well, our construction is a good percentage of our business, so yes, we do feel it, and our different operations and different pieces of our business are geared specifically to construction, and some of that activity is way down. We've fortunately been able to redeploy that labor into other activities because we are expanding and have some big plans for expansion in 2014. So we're keeping people working, but it may not be in the job that they're used to or what they first signed up for.
Right. We all have to be flexible.
Yes, exactly. We want to keep it flexible, keep people employed, keep them working. We go through a long training process, and when you got a good workforce, you want to keep them working and keep communicating. Hey, here's what's happening in the market. Here's what we're seeing. But be out in front of it and say, hey, here's what we're doing to be ahead of the game and to plan for what we're seeing and be a little more nimble. That's one of the things I like about our company. We're I think sized right to be able to do some big things, yet small enough to be nimble enough to make decisions quickly and take action on things rapidly.
So we're going to be looking at 2014 with that in mind, and any other plans for 2014 that you want to share, Dan?
Yeah, we got a couple of big things going right now. We've got new locations that we're going to be opening up soon. Now, this is dependent upon a number of contracts that we're working on, and looks like they're going to come about very, very soon. We're also going to make another big expansion in our packaging and kitting program. That's underway, and that should be in place here the second quarter of next year. That'll be a very large investment. So we're very excited about that. Then, as I said before, expansion of the website and new product ads. That will be the big things there. I hope to actually work on my golf game a little bit, but I don't think that's what you were that interested in.
Only on Fridays, though.
Yes, at any point in time.
Well, I'm beginning to understand, Dan, why you didn't show up in Vegas this year. Although right. I have heard some rumors about Jaeger bombs, so you might have beat us out and had more fun out there in Wisconsin than we had in Vegas anyway. So I think you're doing well.
I got to tell you, I was introduced to Jaeger bombs a few weeks back by my wife and some of her friends, and I've taken a liking to them. And
oh dear.
Well, the good news is it's not yet replaced my morning coffee. I think if that happens, then there might be a cause for concern. I mean, for me personally, that's a red flag. If I see that happening, then I'm going to pull back. But
okay, so we're going to really have to change our recording time. It's going to have to be before the Jaeger bombs in the morning. Then
no, Bri, I've got a better vision for this. I mean, this could be our first ever fully threaded intervention. Think about it.
Oh yeah.
Think of the ratings.
Wow.
Well, and
that's right.
And guys, don't think I don't appreciate it. I do very much, but I'm not there yet. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that you're not. Dan Zehnder, you are doing a great job. Again, your team is doing a great job as well. We had a chance to meet up with them recently, and this company is going places. The website is www.trinityhardwarehq.com. Get out there, check out their website. The catalog is impressive. And I got to close out with asking you one other question, Dan, if you will allow me, and that is,
sure.
How many people do you have working for you now?
Oh, about half. Oh, you mean numbers? Oh, well, we're at about 171 full-time equivalents. But I love that joke.
That's one of the reasons we love having you on the show, Dan.
Well, guys, I thank you so very much. We really appreciate Fully Threaded Radio and everything that you guys do with your product. We're glad to be a part of it. We're looking forward, as you know, doing even more next year, and
right.
It's going to be a good, exciting time. So together, we'll enjoy the ride, and we'll see where it goes.
We will. Okay. Hold on.
Exactly.
Dan Zehnder, Trinity Hardware Headquarters. And we'll be right back with more Fully Threaded Radio.
When people think Fastener Talk Radio, they think, but then they think of Fully Threaded Radio. Talk radio for the fastener industry.
Looking for package fasteners of all kinds? How about specials or unique parts that no one seems to carry? At Trinity Hardware Headquarters, we believe in parts done right, and our new catalogue is available online at trinityhardwarehq.com, featuring over 30,000 different types of fasteners available in package quantities, product kits, and assortments, including hundreds of hard-to-find parts as well as the most popular inch and metric sizes. Trinity Hardware Headquarters has locations throughout the Midwest and South, and over 400,000 square feet of warehouse space with 18 million pounds of fasteners ready to fill your requirements. Our featured products include number 3 and number 7 head plough bolts, grade 5 and grade 8 carriage bolts, hook bolts, tap bolts, and nuts and washers of all kinds, plus much more. Visit our website at www.trinityhardwarehq.com or give Trinity Hardware Headquarters a call at 888-232-1010. Trinity Hardware Headquarters, for parts done right.
fastener-related.com. Search and source from over 500,000 line items, or just a mouse click away and available at no charge. When the need arises, you won't find a better place to locate hard-to-find fastener inventory. It's where you need to be.
This is Joe Truckee of Cal Fasteners, and Fasteners Clearinghouse works for us.
This is Robert Wanzer, and Fasteners Clearinghouse works for American Imperial.
This is Andy Pell from ScrewCrew.com, and FCH works for the fastener industry.
Join the sourcing network now and show your inventory to a whole new market. Turn slow movers into cash. List up to 10,000 line items. Show them to distributors only or to the world. FastenersClearinghouse.com. It's where you need to be.
Business is all about relationships. Relationships with our business partners, customers, suppliers, banks, employees, and our coworkers. Where do you go to get advice on the challenges you have with your business relationships? Hi, everyone. This is Tom Buddenbaum with Technology Components Southwest and the NFDA. The National Fastener Distributor Association has hundreds of people who share your concerns and your values, and probably some of them also have experienced your challenges. Get advice, ideas, and inspiration from people who understand your business. Participate in the NFDA. Visit our website for details, website nfda-fastener.org, or give us a call at 714-484-4747. And save the date for our next conference, February 12th through the 15th in Palm Springs, California. This is a joint conference with the Pacific West Fastener Association, and it is sure to be informative and fun. Once again, this is Tom Buddenbaum for the NFDA. I look forward to seeing you on board soon.
Hi, this is Aaron Shushan with Specialty Sales. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, back with you with more online fastening reindeer games.
Okay, crystal ball gazing, I think more like it.
You know, we're going to head into the Fastener News Report, and I wanted to mention, should have brought this up last segment, but a couple of weeks ago, another thing that we did was we attended the Midwest Fastener Association Scholarship Awards Dinner, and the MWFA hit a commendable milestone during that meeting, and it has surpassed $500,000 in total dollars awarded since the program began, Bri.
And they should be very proud, or everyone on the MWFA should be very proud. That's a great achievement.
It really is. We would also like to thank the MWFA for honoring Fully Threaded Radio. This time around, they put a scholarship in our name, and that prize was won by Ms. Marissa Remus. She's the daughter of Dave Remus, he of Beacon Fasteners and Components.
Right. Congratulations for winning that. Make great use of it.
Well, it was our honor to be associated with it. Marissa's a freshman at Illinois State University, and she's studying nutrition and dietetics. I had to do a double take on that one, Brian. For a minute there, I thought, geez, is that like L. Ron Hubbard?
Right. Yeah. You got to leave all the letters in that one.
Dietetics, folks, not Dianetics.
Right. Be the wrong state for Dianetics anyway.
The Fastener News Report is sponsored today by Volt Industrial Plastics and Fastener Technology International Magazine. I'd like to thank our other great sponsors. The title sponsor of Fully Threaded Radio is Stelfast and Trinity Hardware Headquarters. We're also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, Fastenal, and Solution Industries. Thanks to you all. And now it's time for news and views about screws you can use.
Wow, have you been practicing that one?
Here's Mike McNulty.
Thanks, Eric and Brian. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored today by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. Well, time sure flies when you're focused on fasteners, so I am mildly surprised that we have reached the final Fastener News Report of 2013. This edition is full of riveting fastener industry information, and don't worry, I have scrubbed it clean of all the odd Obamacare propaganda that is flooding social media sites, mainstream media outlets, our telephones, and the creepy White House Youth Summit held earlier this month. Now here is today's Fastener News Report, straight from the Fastener Technology International News Center. In our top story, we're going to get the November 2013 results of FDI, also known as the Fastener Distributor Index. Also in today's report, we have newsmaker headlines from Hahn Systems, ECS Fasteners, H&S Sales, Birmingham Fastener and Supply, Doka Fasteners, and Lindstrom Metric. On the back page report, we're going to talk about gut-level predictions. We will get to all of that and the Fastener Distributor Index results for November right after this.
Volt Industrial Plastics is the source for all your high-quality plastic fastener needs, and customer service is their #1 priority. With almost 1 million fasteners in stock and same-day shipping on stock items, Volt Industrial Plastics carries inventory so you don't have to. Volt manufactures everything in-house from over 125 different materials, and they're proud to say 100% of their products are American-made. And of course, custom tooling and in-house bagging is available. Contact Volt online at www.voltplastics.com. Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting fastenal.com today.
My customer sent me a print for a bolt specifically for the machine in his shop, but we can't make it.
Solution Man can. Provide me with the print, and my superhuman CNC machining team will custom make it for you faster than a manufacturer's rep drinking at an open bar. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
Wow, that is fast.
So are you at the distributive social, huh?
You're listening to Mike McNulty's Fastener News Report on Fully Threaded Radio.
In November, the FDI dipped slightly to 51.7 versus 52.7 in October. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by BB&T Capital Markets and the FCH Sourcing Network, and it seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener industry. To get the details on these somewhat sluggish and steady results, we talked to Holden Lewis of BB&T Capital Markets. Hi, Holden. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
As always, happy to be here. Thanks, Mike.
Well, the November results were a bit lower than the previous months, but still above the 50-point level, which is the FDI strength midpoint. What can you tell us about the results for November?
Yeah, and I feel like these results are becoming a bit of a broken record overall. As you said, a reading of 51.7 in November would be just above the expansion line, but not far above, which means that we're going to use that tired phrase again of perhaps sluggish growth. That seems to be kind of what it is indicating here. So no real change. The other thing that I will point out is, not only is that 51.7 technically below what we saw in October, which was 52.7. As a technicality, that would suggest maybe November was a little bit weaker than October. But in substance, we're simply talking about a slightly north of 50 expanding number, something which we've seen for the better part of every month since March this year. And looking at sort of that 51.7 in the context of the full year, or let's say the last 8 months or so, the numbers are very much in line. So we've had the odd month here and there that has either, spiked up or spiked down. But for the most part, these readings have been very consistent for much of 2013. And that is sort of coming in this low 50 type range, which suggests that the industry is still growing just very slowly. And by the way, I don't think that is, we talk about in prior sort of discussions about looking at the entire body of work that's out there to be looked at in terms of assessing the macro environment. I don't think that the overall environment, that is being forecast by the FDI is much different from what we're seeing in most other quarters. We have just come through the Q3 earnings seasons for a lot of companies that I deal with, like Fastenal, MSC, Grainger, things like that. And for the most part, they're all still talking about growth rates, which are still pretty slow. Now they're seeing slight upticks, but those upticks seem to be more a function of easy comparisons from last year than they are a function of dramatically improving demand. And so, when it boils right down to it, we're still waiting to see some indication that the environment that is playing out on the ground in real time is going to begin to reflect what we're seeing out of the big PMI data, the national PMI data, where we've seen some very strong indications that growth could get better. And that's I think that's sort of the big picture read of the FDI in November.
I know over the last 9 months, you did some calculations that it's it's averaging just around 51 points and staying pretty steady and sluggish. And I guess the data this time revealed a couple or three categories or three data points that were positive, and then one that was particularly negative. Any comments on that?
Sure. Well, and you're right. And whenever you're looking at this data, the headline reading tells you one thing, but it's always valuable to dig into the components of that reading to see if there's any sort of teases in there that you like or don't like. Not every FDI or PMI number is the same. The same number could be made up differently, and it might be relatively, more negative or more positive than what we've seen before. The last 2 months, including November, I would say that the sort of the pieces that make up the FDI, I still think are perhaps a bit more positive than what we had seen over the balance of the year. The sales number obviously is the negative one. That dropped pretty dramatically. Perhaps that's something we could touch on a bit more expansively here in a moment. But when you look at other components, employment has really improved, or the outlook for employment has really improved over the past 2 or 3 months. So anybody who's more inclined to add more resources must at least feel better about the future. So I think that that's a component of this index that is a positive. Then, of course, customer inventories also, they're still very low. The reading came in at 41.4, which means that respondents to the survey think that customer inventories are too low. Admittedly, they probably always do. But at the same time, what we've seen is over the past 2 or 3 months, we've seen that low number tick up a little bit. So what we've seen is a number go from 35.7 in September up to 39.3 in October, up to 41.4 in November. What that means is inventories may be too low, but they're probably not as low as was the case a couple of months ago, which suggests that customers might be increasingly adding a little bit of resources here and there. And again, that should be an expression of some confidence. And then, of course, the greatest expression of confidence is really coming out of the outlook statements, where we've noted the last couple of months that the outlook from the respondents has been very strong, but rarely stronger than what we've seen this month. This month we've seen 62% of the respondents believe that 6 months from now demand will be stronger than it is today. That compares to only about 3% of respondents that'll think it'll be worse. So what we've talked about in the past is probably the most important component right now to get a sense of is confidence in the market. Even if you're not seeing the demand picking up right now, we all know that demand rarely turns on and off like a light switch. It's the product of sort of an evolving environment. And what I am seeing from this data, and is being backed up from commentary from other companies, is I'm seeing sort of data that's pointing to a company set that is increasingly confident. Certainly that downside risk is diminishing if existent, and that maybe the future 6 months is looking better. So, last 2 months haven't been much in terms of the big number, but you're absolutely right. Looking at the main data points, what they seem to point to is an increasing confidence among respondents, something that I'm picking up, I think, from other sources as I go through my daily tasks. And ultimately, if that continues, that should lend itself to some better readings, from this. And so I think that the numbers may not look like much in terms of the big headline, but I think that the movement in the pieces, I think, should be somewhat encouraging to anyone looking at the data.
Yeah, you're right. The confidence factor is definitely not only maintaining itself, but it seems to be growing slightly. So I think that's a good factor for boating as we end this year and go into next year. And myself, frankly, I wasn't. I was actually pleased that we didn't drop below the 50-point level, because we were on that cycle for a while. We were going up and down over the 50-point level. So it looks like we're leveling out a little bit higher, and that's a good sign.
I think that's right. And when you think about it, where is confidence important, right? The confidence, if companies are more confident, then they're going to stock a little bit more product. And we've talked about how people think the inventories are too low. I suspect that they are. I suspect that there's a little bit of room for companies to increase inventories a little bit from where they've been keeping them relatively lean. I also think that there's probably room for capital projects out there. Utilization, whether you're looking in North America or whether you're looking in Europe, factory utilization is really not as low as you might think, given what has been a pretty tepid demand environment. But companies, if you look at various companies that are out there that deal with automation and things of that sort, you really haven't seen much activity lately, which tells you that companies have kind of tapped the brakes on big projects and expanding capacity. And, the combination of a good year where people haven't been spending on projects and utilization still remaining very high, it doesn't take much of an uptick in activity to perhaps unloose some of those projects. And people talk particularly about the energy space, the backlogs at the engineering construction companies. It just feels like an environment where there's some pent-up demand, and if confidence continues to rise, that pent-up demand can begin to come. So, yeah, it's something we've been waiting for a long time. I think that sort of in the middle of 2012, it was expected it would come, so we're not guaranteed anything. But nonetheless, you like to see how things are beginning to fall, and at some point down the road, hopefully that'll lead to sort of a better environment. So yeah, I would characterize it as being somewhat more hopeful going into 2014, notwithstanding the relatively flat environment that exists in real time today.
Right. Now let's, you touched on it earlier where you said we had some factors that were positive and then we had a really negative sales number, which, if it would have come in even a little bit more normalized, then this FDI number would have been pretty solid. So let's rewind a little bit on those sales numbers. Are this low sales result, is that something typical for the month of November?
Well, so typical is always hard to detect when you have two Novembers in hand. So I think it's hard to sort of call anything typical. I will say last year you did not see the sort of volatility that we're seeing this year. I mean, if you look at the last 3 months on the sales component, September was 42.9, October was 73.2, November was 43.1. I mean, that's a tremendous amount of volatility. And if you look at how it played out last year, it didn't play out the same way. You clearly saw the sales component weaken over the back half of the year, but given that sentiment was weakening as well, I don't think that that's a big surprise. So I don't see anything in the limited data set that would suggest to me that the volatility we're seeing sort of late year this time is typical. And as much as I like to, sort of talk about what I think I know, I just have to admit when there's something that I don't know much about. And the volatility that we're seeing out of the sales figure, frankly, I don't have a great explanation for it. I've had, some folks suggest that perhaps what you're seeing is lean inventory levels. And so, 1 month people might simply be restocking. The next month they have restocked and can sort of work down a little bit. And maybe that's a little bit of what you're seeing. I don't know. I don't have a great answer for it. And I would certainly stop short of calling it typical. But, you touch on something which will be interesting going forward. And we've talked before about the more data we get on this FDI, the more we can do to make it relevant. And there's really two ways to doing this. The first is obviously getting more data, and then the second is making sure that we continue to get more and more people signing up to respond to the survey. But, once we get the December numbers in hand, I'm going to be looking forward to sort of seeing if there is exactly what you're talking about, which is a bit of seasonality. I will tell you that looking at this, in a very cursory way, there does appear to be some seasonality to the data that when we get enough data in place, maybe we can begin to apply some seasonal factors. Maybe it'll give us a little bit different picture on the data. So what you're talking about, this idea of is this seasonally typical, I can't say that at this point, but I think more important is you get a couple of years of data in hand, you can begin to take a look at what seasonality does look like, and that can refine this data perhaps a bit more precisely, a bit more accurately, and I'm looking forward to doing that. So I guess the way I'll leave it is for now, sales, not really sure what's going on there the last few months, but stay tuned because in coming months I think we might be able to try to apply some different statistical approaches to try to glean more information from the data that we're collecting.
Now, what about the and this probably ties into the same answer, but the number of actual business days in the month. I guess in November we had 19 regular weekday business days, and in October I think we had 23. Does that really play into it, or do people just push their orders earlier in the week, or does that have any factor?
Yeah, I think it can play a factor, although perhaps less relevant than, or perhaps the number of days may not be as important as where certain holidays fall. In fact, I would note that December this year, Christmas and New Year's are going to fall on a Wednesday, which is perhaps the worst possible day for a meaningful holiday to fall on, simply because you're going to have people perhaps leaving early and not going in for the balance of the week. Last year it fell on Tuesday, which may not be great, but perhaps people have a harder time taking the full week off after a Tuesday holiday. So, again, we'll have to sort of see how that plays out. But covering companies like Fastenal and MSC and Grainger, we pretty routinely have conversations about when particular holidays fell within the week. And this December number, we'll see what happens, because it's with Christmas falling on Wednesday versus a prior year where it fell on Tuesday, it's entirely possible that could be somewhat of a drag, relative to last year's December. And so that could be that could be difficult to see, and maybe that means if there is improvement to be had, maybe we're going to have to sort of take a month off and wait till January to get it. Which like I said, we'll see how that plays out. But certainly the timing of Christmas and New Year's is going to be perhaps an issue for the December number.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And as you have mentioned, this will be your second full year after next month, second full year of data collection. So starting to build up a historical database here, and want to remind listeners in that to encourage them to participate. It's an anonymous participation, and the more data, the better.
That's right. I don't know who is responding what. I'm just aggregating the data. So I know that obviously private companies are usually private for a reason, and it is very important to us that we don't violate that. So yeah, I don't know who the companies are that are making the responses. We would always encourage more people to participate, because again, I think we're getting some data behind us. It'll allow us to do more with that data. But always getting more people to participate is something which improves the data set as well.
And why don't you remind listeners when you actually collect that data? Is it right at the end of the month, or is it into the first week of the following month? How do you do that?
Yeah, it is at the end of a month. So for this past November, Eric Dudas would have put the survey up for, I think, in probably the last few days of the month, and then overlapping into the first couple of days of December. By which time I would think that most folks who are tracking their numbers have a pretty good sense of what exactly they're looking for. So it shouldn't take more than 5 to 10 minutes to put it out. We don't ask you for very specific numbers for the most part. You don't have to tell us that your revenues were up 6.35%. We just want to know whether or not your sales did better than you would have expected them to. And not only sales, but we asked for a few other categories. But it truly is a survey which is meant to be non-intrusive into your business, which is meant to take a very brief period of time, and which is intended to give a disproportionate amount of information relative to the amount of time that you need to put into it. So I think it's a win-win for everybody involved, and I would certainly encourage anybody to reach out and engage us to get on Eric Dudas's list to send that out.
Absolutely. So with the overlap of months, I guess the next time we will talk will be in the year 2014.
That's right. So I hope that everybody has a great New Year's. We'll speak in the new year next time.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how the year turns out, and wish you a good holiday and a happy New Year. And we'll talk to you next year.
Same to you all, and thank you everybody who participates, listens in, and cares about this FDI index.
Very good, Holden. Thanks for joining us.
Take care.
That was Holden Lewis of BB&T Capital Markets. Holden has a regular column on the FDI that appears in the print and digital editions of Fastener Technology International magazine. Next up, today's top Fastener Newsmaker headlines. Han Systems LLC, based in Indianapolis, Indiana, has acquired substantially all of the assets of ECS Fasteners LLC, which is based in Westport, Indiana. The transaction was completed as an asset purchase. All ECS operations and employees will remain in Westport, and ECS's product line will be incorporated into Hahn's private-labeled Fusion Fasteners brand. ECS will become a division of Hahn Systems. H&S Sales in Buffalo, New York is expanding its Buffalo Fastener Distribution Center by 40%. H&S is a fastener and industrial supplies company that supports manufacturers based in the Midwest USA. Birmingham Fastener and Supply in Birmingham, Alabama, appointed Kevin Johnson to the position of Vice President of the Birmingham Fastener Manufacturing Division. Johnson brings 19 years of manufacturing and engineering experience from several companies, including Nucor Fastener and Lake Erie Products. Birmingham Fastener makes and distributes T-head bolts, anchor bolts, cross brace rods, and structural components. Doka Fasteners in Auburn Hills, Michigan has named Jim Watuki as Director of Sales. Jim has 26 years of sales experience in the fastener industry, the past 16 years serving as sales manager for Nucor Fastener Division. Doka Fasteners began operations in Michigan in 2010, and it makes large diameter fasteners used in wind turbines, as well as in industrial sectors such as oil and gas, heavy engineering, and construction. Doka Fasteners Auburn Hills is one of 3 hot forming companies owned by the Worth Group. The other 2 are Doka Fasteners in Norway and Cardinal Fastener in Cleveland, Ohio. And our top newsmaker headline is that Global Fastener News has reported that Michael Wren is the new president of Lindstrom Metric LLC. Lindstrom Metric is headquartered in Blaine, Minnesota, and it has facilities in South Carolina, New York, and Illinois. CEO Virgil Lindstrom made the announcement, and he says that Wren will handle the direct day-to-day management of Lindstrom Metric, while Mr. Lindstrom takes the title of Chairman Emeritus. Wren has 25 years of fastener distribution experience, including executive positions with Heads and Threads International and Brighton Best International. Finally, let's turn to the back page for a report on gut-level predictions. Last year at this time, I made some gut-level predictions for 2013, and I was right on or pretty close to being right on 3/4 of them. To summarize, on the government side, we did see higher taxes and higher debt ceilings, more government spending, borrowing, and money printing, the production of stacks of new government regulations, and we saw the beginning of the Obamacare death spiral. On the industrial side, the fastener industry had sluggish growth throughout the year. China, Taiwan, Europe, and India stayed strong as USA fastener suppliers, and fossil fuel production and manufacturing showed continued strength. I was wrong on my prediction that lots of USA cities would seek government bailouts, and the Cleveland Indians surprised me by making a 1-game playoff appearance. I also missed on some of the big-name acquisitions of 2013, as well as the 2013 Las Vegas show being one of the best ever. My 10 gut-level predictions for 2014 are as follows. Number 1, no tax relief amid continued government overspending, borrowing, and money printing. Number 2, steady production of government regulations and constitutional violations. Number 3, the USA fastener industry will see 3 to 4% growth compared to 2013. Number 4, USA fossil fuel production will stay strong. 5, the construction and automotive sectors will improve while aerospace will level off. Number 6, 3D printing technology will improve, but it will not go mainstream on fasteners. Number 7, China's growth as a USA fastener supplier will finally level off and domestic production will solidify. Number 8, the Cleveland Indians will play more than one playoff game. Number 9, Republicans will win loads of national and state races in the fall. And finally, number 10, Obamacare will collapse. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International, bringing you the Fastener News Report. Remember to send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
What's next for Brighton Best International? BBI Purchasing Manager Jun Xu is up with us next on Fully Threaded. When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stellfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
Hi everyone, it's Brian Musker. If you're listening to Fully Threaded, then you're no doubt aware of the FCH sourcing network found at fastenersclearinghouse.com. You've probably also heard about our legendary scrubber software that makes listing your inventory on FCH a snap. But have you heard about the new FCH SmartLink interface? With SmartLink, users of Business Edge, InSequel, and Distribution One have a new weapon in the war against excess inventory, because each of these platforms now links directly to the FCH scrubber system through an automated interface. The best part is that this new tool is available at no additional charge to FCH members who use Business Edge, InSequel, or Distribution One. With SmartLink, you can keep your inventory listings up to date with the click of a button, so it's a win-win for all FCH users. The new FCH FastLink interface is really big news, and we'll be thrilled to have your company using it. Business Edge, InSequel, and Distribution One users should contact their software provider for details, or just call me, Brian Musker. You can reach me through the FCH website at www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. That's fasteners with an S. And the S is for scrubber.
Fastener friends, if you're looking to celebrate a big sale, or if you just want to unwind after a tough day on the job, do it with the golden brown goodness of Old Rusty Bolt beer. It is the finest tasting beer in the fastener world because Old Rusty Bolt beer is brewed specifically to satisfy the palates of fastener folks everywhere. That name again, Old Rusty Bolt beer. An Old Rusty Bolt added to every bottle to enhance flavoring. Get some today. The preceding message was brought to you by Buckeye Fasteners and your Holden Bolt Company, official fastener show sponsors of Old Rusty Bolt, the preferred beer of traveling salesmen. Tell them Rusty sent you.
Hi there, this is Jim Zehnder with Trinity Logistics, and you are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, back with you. Well, Brian, it's hard to believe it's been several weeks since the big BBI and Porteous news, and of course that was the headline at the Vegas show this year. And here with us now is someone who can fill in a lot of the blanks, I think, from the Brighton Best point of view, and that's Director of Purchasing, Jun Xu. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Good to be with you guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, we saw you out there in Vegas this year. Of course, Brighton Best put out a big spread, the after party on the first day of the show. That was quite an event, as usual.
Sure. You know, it's something we do every year, you know, and we think it's just good for the industry to get together after a long day, you know, just to unwind, have some drinks and have some food. And, you know, it's certainly our pleasure to do that every year.
Well, you're not going to get an argument from us on that one. You have any idea how many people actually went through the room this year?
You know, every year the number gets bigger and bigger, I think maybe just through word of mouth. The first year we had maybe 300 people show up. You know, last year we had about 500, and then this year I think we're close to 600 or 700 people.
Wow.
And we're not sure if everyone is even part of the industry. You know, people just kind of show up, and you know, I think they smell the food and they just kind of, you know, follow the smell or something. It gets bigger and bigger every year. So.
Well, I'd have to say it was another resounding success, and obviously everybody was talking about the big news. And just from an overview point of view, I mean, what can you tell us? How are things proceeding?
Things are going pretty well. We closed the transaction October 10th, so it's been about 6 or 7 weeks now. Things have stabilized quite a bit. I think the transaction is going very well in terms of what we had planned for.
People were talking a lot about the price increases that were announced. I guess there were 2 waves of price increases that came out. Is that going to be a trend, or are things stable for the moment? I mean, what do you see?
Things are pretty stable for the moment. We did raise our prices, and it was really a reflection of increased in cost of doing business. Prior to the increases that were put through, the one prior to that was about 1.5 years ago. I think it's hard to find a industry or a business that hasn't changed pricing in 1.5 years. Just with increased cost of transportation, gas, salaries, overheads. So it was really sort of a cost of business adjustment. But the business is stable right now. And one of the issues or concerns that people have is, with the transaction, is really the consolidation of the 2 companies and the industry as a whole. And what I would argue is that the industry itself, the wholesale channel, was not a very healthy industry. Just from the track record of heads and threads going away in 2011, with PFC going out in 2013, you start to realize this trend, and the industry was not healthy. And I think with Brighton Best and purchasing the PFC assets and consolidating the wholesale channel brings stability to the channel, brings better discipline to the channel, and I think that's important because most distributors who are in fastener distribution need to purchase from a wholesaler. There are a lot of challenges from purchasing overseas, and as a company, we don't have any issues with anyone going overseas if that makes sense for their business. But there are logistical challenges, in terms of capital, in terms of having a warehouse space, in terms of just buying full containers of similar products, not a good mix of products. So most fastener distributors need a strong wholesale channel, and I think this transaction certainly strengthens, stabilizes that channel.
Yeah, that sounds right, I think.
I don't think you'd get too much argument from most distributors that there's a role for master importers. But I think there's probably a reflex out there, and I think a lot of people share it, that they prefer to have more choices rather than fewer. So what we've experienced, obviously, yes, cost of doing business is going up, but we've also had kind of a price war happening. And so some of the increases that are coming up are adding to margins, which I think is only natural.
Well, I think what's important to understand is that it's not hard to start a business in fastener distribution, if you will, especially in wholesale. You need a warehouse, you need some money, you need to buy some inventory. And by and large, people, you can get traction pretty easily selling as a wholesaler in this country. And so going forward, our best line of defense is to remain competitive. If we are not competitive and we're not doing a good job, then the nature and evolution of the business is that somebody else will do it for us. And so the most important thing for us going forward is to make sure that we continue to operate, continue to provide value to the industry, continue to be cost competitive, and do everything that has made BBI successful. This is not an inflection point of a different strategy. This is continuing down the same strategy, only getting better at it. So it's important for people to understand, I think, that again, it's our best line of defense is to remain competitive, because there are thousands of manufacturers overseas, and they're all looking for a channel into the country, and it's not that hard to set up a wholesaler.
You could say that some of those companies overseas that are looking for channels into the US market are some of Porteous's previous suppliers.
Some I would say, yeah, that's true. But by and large, BBI and PFC had a lot of similarities. We took good care of our customers. We bought good quality products from strong suppliers overseas. And I think what you'll see is that we really are able to basically pick the best supplier of each category going forward. There's a concept that we think about all the time, which is the definition of price versus definition of cost. Price to us is, from a manufacturer, is not relevant. The most important component is cost, because we believe that if you find the most cost-efficient supplier, they can be the most price-aggressive and price-competitive supplier as well. They don't need to be all the time, but they can be when they need to be. So for us, it's important to find the right strategic partners, and that's why we don't go around and shop our products, all over the world, because we like to partner with the strong supply base. PFC had a very strong supply base, and so did BBI. And now that the two camps have come together, I think we really are able to pick and choose the best suppliers going forward.
John, I introduced you as the director of purchasing, but your role is a little bit wider than that at BBI, isn't it?
Sure. My wife and I joined the company in 2008. My father-in-law, Robert Shea, is the president of the company. He started Ta Chen, which is the company, along with a group of other investors, the consortium that bought Brighton Best. And my wife and I joined in 2008. So my responsibilities are mainly around purchasing, as well as pricing and sales. And my wife's responsibilities are more in the operations, warehouse operations, HR, finance, things like that.
So you're a driving force behind the BBI website then?
Yeah, we're heavily involved in that.
Now, do you intend to roll most of the PFC business into that BBI website then?
Well, I think it's really the customer's choice, to be honest. I think the Brighton Best website offers convenience, but we also understand that not everyone wants to use the website. It's not 100%. I guess to give you guys a little bit more backstory with the website, our parent company, Ta Chen, again, this is a company that my father-in-law started. They're selling stainless steel pipes, sheets, coils, and these things can go up to $30,000 per item. Okay, and they came out with a website in 2011 selling $30,000 SKUs online. And
okay.
And there was no negotiation with pricing. Customers could have called in asking for 1% discount, and that's quite a bit of savings. But what Ta Chen found from their experience is that customers found the website to be convenient. They realized that the prices were competitive, and they realized that they could make money off the prices. And so when it came to Brighton Best, we looked at this and we thought, well, if Ta Chen is selling $30,000 stainless steel pipes online, why can't we sell $30 boxes of screws online? And that's why we pushed the web so aggressively within BBI, and whether on Salesforce. And I can tell you that the greatest resistance that we had came from our internal salespeople, because they felt that their responsibilities and their roles were being marginalized going forward. But what we explained to folks is, look, my wife and I sit in the bullpen, and 90% of the phone calls that come in are about inventory and price. Do you have stock and what's my price? Mm-hmm. And when you're just quoting price and inventory, that's not really a salesperson. A salesperson needs to be more engaging, needs to take the initiative more. And so we really explain to people, look, your job is to create the opportunities, not to wait for them to come to you. And so it really just sort of transformed, I guess, the role of a salesperson within the company. We've grown the company, even if you take the acquisition out, we've grown the company significantly, about 4 to 5 folds since 2008. And, we've actually increased our number of salespeople. We went from about 60 to 80 salespeople in Brighton Best, but we didn't have to increase the salespeople as quickly as we did the sales, and so that made it more efficient. And with the web, what you find too is that you have to have the most cost-efficient structure in order to employ the web efficiently. And what that means is that, you have to make sure that you have the lowest overhead, because the web price is a public price. We know our competitors are on it. We know competitors look at it all the time, and that's fine. We have to accept that as a reality for this thing to work. And what makes it work for us is that we have to charge a price that is competitive and that is fair and that's consistent and make sure that we're able to make money on that as a going business. So conceptually, think about it. If the web price is a public price, and your price is too high, no one's going to buy it. Right. No one's going to use it, and so the web won't be successful. If your web price is too low and your cost structure is too high, then sure, people will buy it, but you'll go out of business in 5 years, or even sooner than that, probably in 1 year, you'll go out of business. So in order for the web to work, you have to have the most cost-efficient structure in the industry. And again, that's our job going forward is to make sure that Brighton Best is competitive, is cost-efficient, and we provide value to the industry.
Well, you're pushing the envelope on discovering what the market will bear, that's for sure. And you're the big fish in the ocean right now in terms of master importing. So I guess we'll see what that point is.
Yeah. And I think what I heard once made a lot of sense to me, and someone said, look, if you make it easier for people to buy fasteners, people will buy more fasteners. And that's true. It's very true. Because fasteners, it's a complex product line. When Peggy and I joined in 2008, we thought fasteners, how hard could it be, right? We got a nut and screw and sure, I mean it's just a nut and a bolt.
How hard could it be?
Yeah, how could it be, right? And as we got into it, I really started to appreciate and respect the industry, and I actually, from the purchasing side, I really enjoy learning about different specifications, different grades. You get down to the screws and you have so many variations with head type, point type, thread type, plating type, grade type. I mean, it is so complex. And in a way, you have to appreciate that complexity because if everything was easy to do, everyone would be doing it, right? So you have to appreciate that complexity and respect it. So for us, we've really grown to love the industry. But the way to make it work for people outside the industry, for people to buy the product, is to make it easier for them. And so for us going forward, with the web, with phone calls, with faxes, look, we'll take an order if it comes in, okay? We're not going to try to fit a square peg down into a round hole, but we do hope people understand that the web is a big part of our growth. It's a big part of our company. It's been very successful for Brighton Best, and there's a reason for that. And it's because it is easy to use. If it was hard to use and difficult to use, trust me. Right now, Brighton Best is 80% sales is online. If the web was difficult to use, we wouldn't even break 10%. So there's a reason why people employ it. And I think in fasteners, again, you provide the information up front. You make it easy for people to get certifications, to get pricing, to get inventory. Just let people do their jobs, give people the tools to do their jobs well, and they'll like it.
Just out of curiosity, have you been following AmazonSupply.com?
Sure. I think with Amazon Supply, it's a little different. Their market really is the tail end. It's the guy that's fixing a motorcycle and bought a kit and realized there's one screw missing or something, and they have to go buy it. It's really the tail end of the users. But with Brighton Best, one thing I want to make clear is that we do sell to distributors only. I think one rumor that was spread out there is that Brighton Best, because of our website, we're able to sell to end users. That's completely not true. Anytime anyone logs in to Brighton Best, they have to have a company ID. The company ID is one that we vet with our credit department, making sure they have a resale ID, making sure that they're a legitimate stocking distributor, and we do site visits. We provide a credit line to these guys, so it's a pretty stringent process to set up a new customer with Brighton Best. And the fact is, as we've grown over the last 4 to 5 years, we haven't really had to grow our account base. I think our account base is still about the same number, 2,500, distributors in the country, and that number hasn't changed. So, something that I just want to make sure people understand going forward is that Brighton Best, through our website, sells to distributors only. And if anyone has any questions about that, they can call me directly.
Well, that's good to know. Did all the Porteous distributors roll into the BBI line then?
Yeah. We mean our distributors overlapped significantly.
Oh, I'm sure.
The couple of synergies with Brighton Best and Porteous. Porteous grew out of the West Coast. Their father started the business. Barry and Bob continue to run it, and the strength was really West Coast. Brighton Best grew from the East Coast. And, our history was from Cincinnati, from New Jersey, down to Atlanta, and so. We had the same distributor base, but the concentration of sales were very different. And certainly the two combined now creates a much more holistic picture for us. And also there's also a lot of benefits in terms of product lines. PFC was deeper into the screw line, deeper into anchor lines, and those are areas that we certainly see ourselves investing more into going forward.
So speaking of going forward, what's next for Brighton? There's obviously a lot of rumors on that front too. Metric possibly being one, stainless another. Where are you heading?
I think it's it's an open pasture. We've grown significantly. Prior to PFC, 100% of it was organic. We grew organically 4 to 5 folds. And it got to a point where we felt we had to make an acquisition to move forward. So being where we are now, there's a couple of directions. You're right. We do want to be stronger into metric. We want to get stronger into stainless. There's new product lines out there that I think, or not new product lines, but product lines that were underinvested in the past. So I mentioned, anchors and screws. So there's plenty of opportunities for us to grow into. I know at some point we're even looking to grow outside of fasteners, to go into maybe hand tools or safety gear. And the good thing about fasteners is that it touches everything. It touches every industry. Anyone who puts in a fastener has to have a wrench, so that's a hand tool. And whoever uses a wrench needs to have a glove and some safety gear, some glasses. So it's a really great product line to branch off of. And certainly we see some growth in doing that down the road. We're interested in expanding our mill department, something that our distributors have asked us to do. And historically, as a wholesaler, we focus on standard commodity product lines. But there's a lot of mill business out there that distributors need help in sourcing, finding the right suppliers, in providing some QA assurance to make sure that the specs are drawn correctly. So I think there's opportunities in the mill department as well. So it really, there's so many different avenues for us to grow the company going forward. And I think that's really the beauty of this, is that because it's a stronger channel, we're able to provide greater value to the industry. In fact, one thing that is really sort of a project of my own is I really want to roll out an educational initiative in this industry. One thing that we found is that, people don't grow up wanting to sell fasteners in this country. There's no schooling for it. And, to me, a healthy industry is one that's able to attract new people with new ideas. And I'm not sure this industry is able to do that as well. So, really what we want to do is just show people that this is a good industry to start a career in. And so in December, actually, in Cleveland, we're going to roll out a class. It'll be about 10 hours across 5 days. It'll be completely free of charge to any distributors who want to send employees over to get some free training. It'll be open to, obviously BBI employees as well, but also importantly to the general public. There's a lot of people looking to find a job, and they just want a chance. So we're opening this up to, completely free of charge for people who just want to learn about something else. And what I'm hoping is that, as these people go through the process, having to show up 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, without any compensation, without any promise of a job, to me that's the best interview screen. Like when you're interviewing somebody, how much can you really learn in 20 minutes, right? You can, there's not much. All you can do is just hope that they're a good person, hope that they're responsible and they want to learn new things. But I would say, after 10 hours of coming to a class without a promise of a job and going through this course, that shows commitment. That shows this person, is hungry, wants to provide, something for him, for his family. And I would say that's the best interview that anyone can have. So, after these individuals go through the process, they're going to be part of an applicant pool that Brighton Best will hire from. But we also hope that our distributors will take advantage of this applicant pool as well, because, again, we've already done some upfront training, about 10 hours, and they've already passed the quiz. And I hope that distributors are, take advantage of this as well. And really, again, the main purpose of this is just to introduce new people into this industry, and to us, our biggest challenge going forward as a company is not really our competitors. I would say we really control our own destiny with that. But, I think it's really with, the health of the industry.
Well, we'll be interested to report on that. We're very excited about all of the education opportunities that are available out there in the industry. This sounds like a very interesting one with an interesting twist on it. So please keep us advised on how that goes. I want to return for a moment, if I could. You were talking about growing the company, and congratulations on the success that you have had. That doesn't come easily. I know you guys work very hard. But I did notice that you didn't mention anything about growth by acquisition. Is that in the cards for Brighton?
I would say everything's on the cards. There's, in business you have to be flexible, and obviously our preferred method is to grow organically. We get better control through that process, but nothing's really off the table, I would say.
Fair enough. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, John. I think I learned a thing or two. And, just before we let you go, I want to return to the subject of the big parties that you have at Vegas every year. I'm wondering if there's a particular amusing anecdote that you have in mind that you can share with us, any outrageous events or anything that stand out in your mind. And let me put a caveat on that also. They can't involve Rick Finau.
Yeah, I made that caveat especially for Rick.
My wife and I were pretty tame. We have the cocktail party. We show up to what is that room? It's like the rock and roll room. I forget the name.
The Bourbon Room.
Bourbon Room. Yeah, that's it. We show up there. I showed up there last year, and it was a mistake. A couple of drinks later, a couple of cigars later, it was a rough night and a rough morning after. So. So I'm trying to stay out of that room as much as I can going forward.
Just as well for you, because there's some very bad heads that following morning from this year's session, I believe.
Yeah. It was a tough morning for me after that one. So I think we're getting older. We're not in college anymore, and we can't drink as much. We can't stay out as late. So just have to accept it as it is.
Okay, John, fair enough. You're playing it safe, and I can't blame you, although it doesn't explain my approach to the whole thing, but there you have it.
Right,
well, Jun Xu, you are the Director of Purchasing at Brighton Best International. You guys are setting the fastener world on fire, and we're going to continue to report on it, and we'll hope you'll come back and join us in the future and keep us advised.
Right.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Hey, mate.
Well, if we can keep the politics out of it, we'll wind these reindeer games up on a positive note. See if it's possible. It's fully threaded.
Looking for package fasteners of all kinds? How about specials or unique parts that no one seems to carry? At Trinity Hardware Headquarters, we believe in parts done right, and our new catalogue is available online at trinityhardwarehq.com, featuring over 30,000 different types of fasteners available in package quantities, product kits, and assortments, including hundreds of hard-to-find parts as well as the most popular inch and metric sizes. Trinity Hardware Headquarters has locations throughout the Midwest and South, and over 400,000 square feet of warehouse space with 18 million pounds of fasteners ready to fill your requirements. Our featured products include number 3 and number 7 head plough bolts, grade 5 and grade 8 carriage bolts, hook bolts, tap bolts, and nuts and washers of all kinds, plus much more. Visit our website at www.trinityhardwarehq.com or give Trinity Hardware Headquarters a call at 888-232-1010. Trinity Hardware Headquarters, for parts done right.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting fastenal.com today.
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for the Injured Marine Semper Fi Fund, www.semperfifund.org. Over the past 7 years, twice a year, the wonderful people who operate the Semper Fi Fund and many amazing Marines who have been the beneficiaries of the charities that have supported the Semper Fi Fund, including many thousands of individual donors, have come into my radio studio to tell their amazing stories of serving their country, of being wounded, and how the Semper Fi Fund has helped them make that transition back to recovery. Unfortunately, Bethesda and Walter Reed are full again. More and more men and women are coming back from the war injured, sometimes awfully so. We need the Semper Fi Fund to be there for these Marines and those soldiers, sailors, and airmen who served alongside of them. Please consider a gift to the Semper Fi Fund. Very low overhead, extraordinary capacity to get money where it needs to get in a hurry, and great management, including some of the senior Marines who have ever served under the flag. When you're looking for something to do that will make an impact, please check out the Semper Fi Fund. That's www.semperfifund.org, www.semperfifund.org.
Brian and Eric, your online Fastener Talk Radio brothers in thread. Fully Threaded Radio.
Hi, this is John Butler with K&L Sales. I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a safe and Happy New Year. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, feeling ever so jolly. Back with you.
Ever so jolly. And yet we haven't even started drinking yet. It's the Christmas spirit, okay?
Speak for yourself.
Oh, well, okay.
No, just kidding.
I'm on water.
Well, it was great to have Jun Xu on, and I think he did an excellent job handling some of those questions. He's very professional about it. They've got their work cut out for them, of course. And I would like to mention that just after we did the recording with John, I got through the email that is, a invitation to the first of the training sessions that he mentioned. Most people are going to hear this after the fact, but in Cleveland, December 9th through the 13th, 5 to 7 p.m. each one of those days, Brighton is offering the first of these classes. It'll be interesting to hear how they turned out.
Yeah, and we've said before that from wherever it comes, training is a great thing, essential, and a well-trained industry is a very strong one.
Absolutely. The syllabus for this course is classification of fasteners, materials and coatings, fastener designation, and manufacturing process and quality systems. So should be a good overview for people who are either just coming into the industry or for people who have been in the industry for a relatively short amount of time and need to bone up a little bit on some of those areas. You can never really stop putting pieces of the puzzle together.
Yep.
So once again, thanks to Jun Xu of Brighton Best International for joining us and answering some of our questions today, and to our other guests. They were Dan Zehnder from Trinity Hardware Headquarters, as well as Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, and of course Holden Lewis with BB&T Capital Markets. The title sponsors on today's episode of Fully Threaded were Stelfast, for service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stelfast, and Trinity Hardware Headquarters, for parts done right. Also, Buckeye Fasteners, Fastenal, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Solution Industries. Thanks to you all. And we look forward to hearing from you folks. It's our last show of the season. We always do enjoy hearing from you any time of the year, but at this time it's especially nice to communicate with everybody. So please don't hesitate. Our email address, ftr@fullythreaded.com, and occasionally we'll see you out there on Twitter. Our handle, Fully Threaded.
Don't forget to go near and have a look at our Facebook page, where usually it's articles that relate to our podcast put up there. No, Eric puts them there, not me. Okay. I did put some. Ever since I found a picture of me among a flock of sheep there, I've sort of curtailed my use of Facebook.
And just like our opening segment today, which we called The Gift, done by J.R. Prahl, J.R. is also responsible for that wonderful graphic, which we've kind of used as our masthead ever since. You gotta love it.
Right.
Hey, I really enjoyed Mike McNulty's predictions on the back page report of his Fastener News Report, and I give the guy a lot of credit for going out on a limb. And in particular, I hope he's correct that 2014 will see the death spiral of Obamacare really begin to heat up. I was reminded of a great quote by the late, great Milton Friedman, and he was commenting that if you put the federal government in charge of the Sahara Desert, in 5 years there'd be a shortage of sand. It's kind of a famous quote. Well,
I thought you were going to say it'd be turned into the land of milk and honey. I mean, that's what we're led to believe.
Yeah, well, the promises and the reality, two completely different things. So that's why I kind of remembered that quote when I was thinking about all this recently. And, while we were traveling around and hitting some of these events and making distributor visits, I actually had a couple of people who listened to the show, and they came up to me and they kind of said, you should kind of lay off this. I mean, we should just move on. Just in other words, roll over with all this stuff. And I mean, folks, this is the complete wrong way to look at the Affordable Care Act, if you ask me. I mean, you got to realize that the power grab that Obamacare is meant to bring wholesale socialism to America. That's the point. That means the end of individualism. That is a direct contradiction to true American virtues and principles. And that, my friends, translates into slavery. So to me, people saying, it's too late to do anything, we should just move on and accept this, it's like they're handcuffed over a barrel, they're being assaulted, and instead of fighting like hell, they ask for more comfortable handcuffs. That's about as cowardly as it can be, the way I see it, Bri.
Okay, well, you see it very strictly. Okay. Yeah, if George Washington had thought the way of giving up, he'd be sitting back smoking a cigar while the British still ran the colonies.
Exactly. I mean,
because it was easier to do and it wasn't worth fighting against. But the people did fight, and that's why you have the United States of America at the moment.
Which is still the greatest place on earth to be as far as I'm concerned. Now, fortunately, there are some important developments in the news that should offer a shred of hope to people who share our view of all this. And one such piece of news is from the dailycaller.com website. This is Dateline December 9th, written by Bruce Parker. I don't know if you got wind of this one yet, Bri, but I'll just read a little bit of it.
Okay.
A bill set for fast-track passage in the South Carolina Senate in January aims to eliminate Obamacare in the state. The law could become a model for other states fed up with the federal health care law. The bill's titled the South Carolina Freedom of Healthcare Protection Act, and it passed the State House of Representatives by a 63-34 vote, so pretty convincing. The bill now heads to the GOP-controlled Senate with special order priority, setting up the likelihood that South Carolina will become the first state to exempt citizens and businesses from all participation in the Affordable Care Act. Now, the bill has 5 main provisions, and the main component prohibits agencies, officers, and employees of the state of South Carolina from implementing any of the provisions of the ACA. So State Senator Tom Davis says Congress can pass laws, but it cannot compel the states to utilize either their treasury or personnel to implement those federal laws. So taken together, the provisions effectively repeal the federal law for people of South Carolina. So what do you think of that, Bri?
Well, it's not really quite what we think. It's what Eric Holder thinks, isn't it? I mean, they'll be jumping on that like, I won't say, actively.
No, I know what you mean. We've already seen the Holder Justice Department sue states like Texas, for fighting back against this, and of course some of the immigration issues and ID issues and so forth. So I would not be surprised whatsoever. But I think this is a glimmer of hope. So hey, we're going to keep fighting, folks. And I know it's not a very Christmassy topic, but hey, it's the last show of the year, and we definitely want to leave with some meat on these bones. On a lighter side, at least someone has figured out what the various government health plans mean, right? This is from theblaze.com, December 10th. Comedian Larry the Cable Guy appeared on Hannity recently, and he said, the gold plan is when you start to miss your wedding ring after you've had to pay for the deductible.
Okay.
He goes on, the silver plan is what color your hair is going to be after you sign up for it.
Well, mine's light grey, verging on silver, and I haven't even gone near it yet.
Well, then the last one is for you, and best for last. The bronze plan is the color your finger's going to look like after you give yourself a prostate exam.
Oh, God. Who said this?
This is Larry the Cable Guy appearing on Hannity.
God.
So we'll put that up on the Facebook page as well. And I'd say that's going to put episode 74 of Fully Threaded on the books, Bri. And just before we check out, I'd like to wish all of our friends and listeners and maybe even the people that don't agree with us on the whole healthcare thing just the most happy Christmas. Hope you get with your families. I hope you have a wonderful time. We really do appreciate all your support and your friendship. And we'll talk to you in the new year.
Yes, and from me, I'd like to say, Christmas is a great time for friends and family. Drive carefully if you're driving anywhere, because there's a lot of fools on the road. And enjoy yourself. Eat plenty in moderation, and the same with drinking. And we look forward to seeing you back with fresh vigour in the new year.
Hear, hear. For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Thanks for listening. Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you next time.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fasteners Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.